If you've been watching my channel for some time now, then you'll know that one of my favorite arcs in all of Dragon Ball is the Majin Buu arc. There are so many highlights throughout this arc, but one of the best has to be Ultimate Gohan's fight against Majin Buu after he absorbs Gotenks. His look is iconic, but on top of that, he doesn't get a whole lot of figures. So today, we'll be diving into the latest matchmakers released of these two characters, but only one of them might be worth picking up. Let's find out exactly what I mean in today's review. We cover all of the latest news, reviews, and more on Dragon Ball and other anime figures, so if you don't want to miss out on any of that, then please subscribe. Now, before we talk about the figures themselves in today's video, let's talk about what the Matchmaker series is, its history, and the sculptors behind the two figures in today's video. Matchmakers are a series of crane game figures from Bandai of various pairs of characters from the Dragon Ball franchise, usually battling it out. They've consistently had releases since June 2018, with nearly 50 figures released or announced. Recently, Bandai has commissioned Team Ichigan, an expert sculpting team, to create a series of releases in the Matchmaker series, replicating my favorite Toriyama illustration of Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and Ultimate Gohan fighting Majin Buu in various forms. Team Ichigan is a newly formed team consisting of my favorite sculptors, Joe, Rikyū, and my all-time favorite, Varuk. They've already released Gotenks vs Super Buu, which I have done a review for that you can watch right here after this video, and it doesn't look like they'll be stopping anytime soon. We also know via Twitter that Rikyū was the main sculptor behind today's Majin Buu sculpt, which makes sense since he was also in charge of the last one. Now, Joe hasn't directly confirmed he sculpted Gohan, but he did tackle Gotenks last time, so I assume he was in charge of Gohan here too. Varuk oversees everything from Team Ichigan, it seems, and makes corrections on sculpts he doesn't directly make on his own. Now that we've gotten the background out of the way, let's talk about the boxes behind these figures, or rather, around these figures. The Matchmaker's boxes are pretty standard for Dragon Ball Crane figures. The front of their boxes have Gohan and Buu on their respective box with dynamic lighting, the figure info, and some graphics behind them. The side of their boxes have them in black and white for a close-up. It would have been nice if Buu was looking the other direction, so that way it would emulate how you pose them out of the box. The back of the boxes have cool perspective shots of the characters facing off, driving home that you need to buy both to truly get the most out of this release. The other side of the box has colored full body shots of both of them. Also, they're looking in the right direction. If I did have them on the right sides, then you could actually emulate the figures themselves. And of course, the top of the boxes has the figure series title, other information, and the Toei animation sticker, which is the sticker of authenticity for Bandai's Dragon Ball releases. Both figures are protected inside by a cardboard shell and are wrapped in the standard plastic bag that we see in most Crane figures. Gohan comes in 3 pieces, being his upper body, lower body, and foot support. Buu also comes in 3 pieces, being his head, body, and support. For further authentication, I found Gohan's Bandai stamp right here on his leg, and Buu's right here on his boot. Sorry if it's a little tough to see on camera, but they should be placed right there. Now, let's begin talking about both of these figures. I'm going to cover them both individually, starting with Gohan, and then I'm going to cover some more information of both of them as a pair. You'll notice right away that Gohan doesn't come on the standard circular base that we're used to seeing for Matchmakers figures. It's really refreshing to see Bandai elect to have him on a regular foot support. It makes the figure look really clean, and it allows us to have more space on our shelves for more figures and better figure placements. I do love how alive Gohan feels in this figure. You can see the sleeves of his gi and even his hair being pushed back by the force of his attack. There are plenty of folds and textures on his gi and even some in his hair. The musculature of the figure looks great, and I really appreciate seeing authentic looking sculpt brushing all around the figure to make it look less like a mass-produced product. Where I do feel like Gohan is lacking a bit are his facial features. I don't think his face looks bad, but it's severely lacking in detail. He looks like Gohan for sure, but none of the accentuating line work sculpted into his face is noticeable since they weren't painted in. It makes him look pretty flat in the face. I also don't love his gritting teeth. It almost looks like he has molasses in his mouth or something. It's not that bad, but definitely could have used a bit more polish. Moving over to Majin Buu, I do feel he is the superior of the two figures. Buu's face looks fantastic. His expression has been cleanly applied, and even though the line work on his face isn't painted either, it's definitely more noticeable on him, probably due to his pink skin. Also, let's appreciate that this Majin Buu absorption doesn't have any ugly seam line at the top of his tentacle. Not naming any names here or anything. Buu's pose makes him feel big and intimidating, even for a smaller crane figure. I love the musculature on this figure as well, and the glossy armbands and boots that Buu has. His belt buckle is particularly sick because of the gold paint and realistic scratches on it. I did notice a couple of paint defects along his arms, but they were very minor, so it's not a big deal to me. One area that I found disappointing on Buu is the noticeable seam line across his chest and neck. Looks like this Buu figure couldn't get away from a seam line either. It's pretty noticeable from a top-down perspective, but I think it's fine when looking at him from a normal perspective. Now, obviously, both figures shine when posed together to emulate the illustration. They're even better when you add the previous Gotenks and Buu with them too. But seeing them next to Gotenks and Buu brings another issue that I had with them, which is their scaling. Both Gohan and Buu turned out a bit smaller than I expected. Gotenks looks way too large next to Gohan, and Buutenks is literally smaller than his previous form, which doesn't seem right to me in the slightest. I assume they went in this direction to try and emulate the manga as closely as possible, but it does kind of detract from the impact of the set for me. And to point out the obvious, both figures don't have shading, but that's expected of matchmakers. I still think their paint looks really premium and solid overall. Before I give you guys my final thoughts and the rating, I will give you some information on where you can buy these figures. They will have an overseas release that you can buy on various websites, but they do have comparable pricing on today's sponsor, Jump Ichiban. I've partnered with Jump Ichiban for just over half a year now and can confidently say that they're one of the most trusted sellers for Dragon Ball figures that I've come to know. Instead of waiting for months at a time, seeing your most anticipated figures get delayed time and time again, you can import your products straight from Japan with Jump Ichiban. Their site is very simple to use, and their shipping gets you new releases at your doorstep in less than a week after ordering. So that way you can feel like you're right there in Japan enjoying these figures with everyone else. You can hop on their site and find these matchmakers figures for only $24 each, or even buy the entire set of 6 that's available right now. On top of all of that, you can use my discount code for more savings. Matches Peaches 10 gets you 10% off of your first order of 2 or more figures, and Matches Peaches 5 gets you 5% off of any number of figures on any number of orders you make. Go ahead and check them out if you are interested in picking these up for yourself. Now, the big question is, are both figures worth picking up? I'd say yes. I think that they are very cool, and their compatibility with other matchmakers figures on top of their affordability makes them a worthwhile purchase. They certainly have issues, mostly Gohan, like his underbaked likeness, and their scaling issues are definitely very apparent, but when you do pair them up with Gotenks and Buu, and I'm sure when you pair them up with the upcoming Super Saiyan 3 Goku along with Majin Buu, that's going to make them far more impactful and a lot more novel when you have them in person. But those are my thoughts, guys. Please let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you made it this far in the video and you enjoyed it, then please leave a like and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do want to join our community of growing enthusiasts and collectors that are just like you, check the Discord link. There is a link down below. You can just hop on in. It's free to join. But if you do want to support the channel even further beyond and become a YouTube member, you can go ahead and do that. You'll get welcomed into one of the various tiers, get to see reviews like this early, and of course, you'll be featured here in the credits too. So big thank you to everyone who decides to do that. But I think that's all I got for you guys today. So until the next video, I will see you all later.